So I welcome this opportunity, and I appreciate the time to be able to share with you an idea that's focused on helping the environment, but meeting the human need for water diversions. FishED is a device designed specifically to improve fish exclusion from water intakes. Water is used every day by almost every living thing on the planet. Specifically talking about lakes, reservoirs, and canals, these bodies of water typically include some kind of purpose and often an intake. Fish that come in contact with these intakes can be injured or killed in the process. Screened or unscreened, there are turbines, impellers, or even just the screens that are meant to keep the fish out. Fish can be moved from one body of water to another, and that's called entrainment. And that entrainment can have its own detrimental effects as well, when the habitat that receives them just simply can't support their life. Acknowledging this deficiencies in the current technologies, the Bureau of Reclamation, along with several other agencies, put out an idea challenge back in January that's still under review. It sought new and innovative ways to improve fish exclusion from water intakes. As a professional engineer focused on civil engineering and site development, I'm considered an expert in stormwater management and drainage. I've been published in trade magazines, and I've spoken at regional and even national conferences on a variety of topics, including the Ellicott City floods. I know water, and I figured I could come up with something. After a few weeks of conceptualizing, the Fish Escape Diversion, or FishED, was born. It considers the fact that when you put a physical object in the water, inevitably fish are going to come in contact with it. And it strives to create a relatively safe environment inside the device to allow fish to move freely once they come in as water is being screened out, but then they can escape through a secondary opening. This water slowdown is controlled by the change in cross-sectional area. And I encourage all the judges, you can come up here. There are fish, which are beads. Go ahead and drop them in here, and you can watch what happens. So the water moving through the red pipe is moving at a speed at about 5 to 6 times faster than that of the green pipe. The flow is the same. The only thing that's different is the cross-sectional area. So this theory of continuity, along with some other engineering principles, allows a device to be designed to be hydraulically balanced and to function as intended. The $5,000 would go a long way to taking this patent-pending technology to the next level. It would allow further prototype development and also additional testing and refinement of the design calculations while performing some additional patent work. What I'm more excited about really is the other $15,000 in prizes, because that would be instrumental to setting up and organizing the business around this idea, creating a solid foundation for success. Now, I see the business scenario going in one of 3 different directions. One would be simply licensing the patents to businesses and manufacturers that already work and are in the arena of fish exclusion and water intakes. Second would be just retaining the intellectual property and building a business from the ground up. Or third would be what I would hope would be more of a hybrid. The initial concept for FishED came from high-capacity, large-diameter intakes like hydroelectric dams. But there's nothing to say that technology couldn't be applied to stormwater management facilities and other applications that include water intakes or diversions. The Westminster Community Pond is designed as a stormwater management facility. It has no consideration for fish entrainment or fish exclusion. If someone was to catch a fish that didn't belong in the waters of Maryland, there's nothing to let them throw it into the community pond, have a large storm, and it'd be washed down to even the reservoir. So this third scenario would look at licensing the manufactured and the distribution of standardized devices to business and manufacturers throughout the country and even internationally, while FishED would retain the large diameter, high capacity intake considerations and those custom installs for their control. I appreciate this opportunity to speak to you today and share this idea with you, and I welcome your questions. But I first must ask, are you ready to help me help protect the environment while meeting the human need for water diversions?
I understand everything from a pond perspective, but especially from a dam perspective, because that affects migratory patterns of fish and everything like that. How does a single device, which doesn't look very big to me, affect the bigger fish and everything like that? Are you going to put it in a net? Are you going to?
Right. Well, this device is just meant to show the principle of the slowdown. When you look at the calculations, if you look at the calculations that I showed, it actually meant for like 36 and 48 and 54-inch pipes. Even from the Liberty Reservoir has a 10-foot diameter pipe that runs from the Liberty Reservoir to Baltimore City for the drinking water. So it would be designed to handle the intakes for those size, those large diameter, high capacity intakes. This was meant just to show the principle of continuity and the ability to change once it passes the entrance to change the speed of the water.
So depending on the size of the piping and everything like that, where is it? Obviously,
This is just an example. It doesn't have the screening.
There's an emptying tank.
Yes.
Even from a dam perspective, where is it being dumped?
The
On the other
fish
side
would
of the dam?
escape back into the reservoir or the body of water where they came from, and the water is being diverted through a cylinder screen inside the device.
But from where they came from still interrupts the migratory.
Correct, but if they were, you don't necessarily want the fish going through the hydroelectric turbine or the pump impeller or that. That's what it's to prevent.
Without a doubt, but the concept is supposed to allow the migratory patterns to continue.
Not necessarily.
Like from a are there not containment systems and everything like that?
You would want to keep them contained, or it's not meant to promote the flow of fish through it. It's meant to keep them from being inadvertently entrained or sent somewhere they weren't supposed to be.
Okay.
Okay, I consider myself pretty technical, but can you take this and put your marketing hat on, and I want to buy into your company, and I don't understand it?
So
We don't get it. No, we
fish intakes and fish screens are very expensive to maintain because they can be fouled by algae and other debris and things like that. So the idea is to have a device that can be attached to the intake that can be easily maintained, can prevent the flow of fish and other animals through it, and meet the need of that demand in a kind of different twist versus just a screen in front of it or.
You're still talking to engineering for me. Okay, so you've got a large body of water. They go through this pipe, which is a small pipe, which goes into a holding tank, which diverts them back to the large body of water where the rest of the water goes into this other body of water.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. And
Then
the
I did
intent
understand
is-
it.
You do understand it, because the intent is that the fish don't actually come into the device, but inevitably, some fish are going to come in contact with it.
I have a question.
What?
Okay?
The fish take a U-turn.
Basically.
Yeah, they make a
Yeah.
U-turn and they
We're
go back to where they came
minimizing.
from. Yes.
So here's a question. Can this be used for other things? So for example, I know there's some major issues in the Mississippi that have to do with fish that are invading waterways. So can this be used in a sense of trying to prevent
Yes.
these fish from, I forget what they are, the crazy ones that jump up and try to attack boats. But it's snakefish. It's a huge deal.
Yeah.
So it can be used for things like that too.
Yes.
So that's
Are these-
question one.
Sorry.
And my other question is, and I remember it was in your presentation, but how did you first get into this? It was a grant contest, or
Well, it
was
was an idea challenge worth $75,000 from the Bureau of Reclamation.
Okay, and did you place in that at all, did
It
you
is
say?
still under review.
It's still under review. Have you worked with any university systems, so like University of Maryland or?
Not yet.
Okay.
No, the idea,
Have you considered that? I'm just curious.
not completely. I mean, I came up with the idea back in January, February, submitted it in May, and basically wanted to move the idea along. Along came the Biz Challenge, the opportunity to take it from an idea and a concept that's basically on paper to a prototype.
Right.
So that's the first step to kind of proof of concept. It has the provisional patent based on the idea, but we need to do some additional testing and refinement before we can do the utility patent and further the patent process.
And the people buying this would be government?
Probably government, mostly.
Mostly government.
The sell point would be the maintenance. I mean, those intakes that show the screens and that stuff, they cost thousands of dollars a year, a month to maintain. So coming up with something that's innovative, and accomplishes that goal, but also can reduce the maintenance cost in the long term.
That
would
was
be-
actually my next question. What are the maintenance costs for the screens, the,
What's it made out of?
PVC?
We haven't decided that yet.
That's just a little model.
That's just a model to show
We're
the,
talking gigantic, right?
yeah, probably steel or aluminum, some kind of metal.
Oh, it's made out of metal?
Yeah.
It's not cast concrete or anything like that?
No, probably not.
So on a scale, like the size of a VW?
I mean, it could be as big as a
Guess
bus,
it
really.
depends on how big the
It would
fish is.
depend on the intake. I mean, you got to remember that the water that
I'm
leaves
trying to
the,
visualize it.
the water that leaves the Liberty Reservoir leaves through a vertical cylinder screen, that the screen is on the outside, so fish can come in contact with that and be impinged against it. This would strive to prevent that. But that's a 10-foot diameter pipe that runs from gravity from the Liberty Reservoir to Baltimore City.
98% of us don't understand what you're talking about.
So you
So
understand
now,
that you
now
don't.
I understand. So that pipe, as the water's going down, the fish can't swim out because the speed of the water going through it,
Right.
and they die.
Yes,
So you're saving the fish.
yes,
Do you fish?
no.
You're probably wishing for less marketing-focused judges right now.
No, it's fine.
Yeah.
If only we had an engineer on this panel,
Whoops.
we could have this solved.
We have an architect.
But
We have an
next
architect.
year, next year we might have to recruit you.
But I'm not an engineer. And this is why.
So for like a space like Liberty Reservoir, do you have a sense of what that would cost to fabricate? And then how that would save the I guess it's Baltimore City owns it, right?
Yes,
How
Baltimore
much
City
would they
owns
save?
I don't know.
So how are you going to sell it?
We're testing.
We got to get the prototype first. The prototype.